Welcome back to the 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. My name is Wayne Kimmel, managing partner of 76 Capital, the sports tech venture capital company. On this show, I get the opportunity to interview top sports entrepreneurs, athletes, and executives who are shaping and many times changing the overall sports landscape. And we have a really special guest today, and I'm so excited about this show. But make sure that you subscribe to our show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our 76 Capital website. So let's get right to it. Today, my guest on our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show is Max Hirsch. Max is our 2024 summer intern, as well as a rising junior at the University of Michigan. And I may know Max a little bit more than just from this summer. So it's really exciting to have you on the show. Max, welcome to our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show.
Thanks for having me, Wayne. I'm thrilled. I sit about 10 feet away from the other editions, so I'm thrilled to have my own and get going.
Oh, man, it's so great to have you on the show. And it's been awesome having you here at 76 Capital this summer. And I think this is a really special opportunity for us to share with our audience on our show about what we do here at 76 Capital in the summers with summer interns. And we'll go through some of that on the show. But let's first start off with, how'd you first learn about 76 Capital?
Yeah, it's funny. Growing up, I was such a huge sports fan. I mean, as I'm sure you know, every aspect of my life was surrounded by sports, whether it was playing sports, watching sports, or interacting with sports in some way. And like every other kid, I had a dream to first be a professional basketball player. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. A little short for that. And then it was become a general manager. But as I got older, I kind of realized that those jobs were so hard to get, and it wasn't very realistic, at least at first. So I shifted towards business and entrepreneurship. But in the background, I was always hearing about 76 Capital, being in the Philly area. And I remember hearing Wayne talk about esports and talking about how you can play video games.
When you say Wayne?
Yeah, I mean you. I remember you talking about esports and how you can make money playing video games, and hearing all these ideas where you can really make money involving sports. So, I emailed you the past 3 summers just looking for some work to do. And, I'm thrilled to be here this summer. It's been such a good experience.
Well, first of all, we really have, it's been great having you here. And I think, so why don't you share with our audience a little bit of your background, right? So you're at the University of Michigan. Where'd you go to high school? What are you studying now? That type of thing.
Yeah, so I went to Barrack Hebrew Academy, a small Jewish day school about 15 minutes down the road. Now I'm a junior at the University of Michigan. I'm studying data science with minors in statistics and business. So I have a little bit of a technical background, pretty coding intensive classes, but, I'm very passionate about the intersection of sports and business, and that's why I'm here.
So since being here this summer, right, you've been here throughout the whole summer, spent a lot of time with me as well as our whole team here at 76 Capital, which got to give a shout out to everybody. Right?
Absolutely.
It's been awesome having you here, and everyone, I can tell you that everyone loved having you here. Has your perspective on sports and business changed at all?
Absolutely. I mean, every aspect of sports now I'm going to think about in a different way. I mean, I used to watch a sports game and think about who's winning the game and who's playing well. But now I kind of view things differently. Watching a game, who are the sponsors? What's the new tech they're using? All of these things that we're seeing is totally impacting and influencing how I view the game.
I hope it didn't ruin anything.
A little bit, but you're never off work.
But I mean, I think what's interesting is, so when you talk about it, maybe just from a viewing experience, like when you're watching a game and you're there, you're cheering for your team. I mean, who are your favorite teams in Philly? Like, if you
big Eagles and Sixers fan, of course. So always cheering for them.
So when you're let's say watching an Eagles game this year, what you'll be able to, will you sort of look at it a little bit differently?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, being at the Eagles game, I'm going to take note of all these different things and really see, for example, the pylon cams, things that I didn't even know were such big parts of the game that are just constantly changing. And also think of ways that I think the game can better develop. Like, for example, the chain system's a little outdated, and constantly thinking of ways while I'm watching that can improve the game and really automate it.
Absolutely. I love that. I mean, so has this experience this summer, and especially since we work with a lot of young early stage companies, you mentioned these entrepreneurial companies who are doing the next thing. Has this changed your thinking at all as to potentially what you want to do when you get out of school?
Absolutely. I mean, I always wanted to pursue a career in sports, but I just didn't think the market was big enough. But, working with Scott, for example, on deal flow and seeing how many deals are coming in every month, thousands and thousands of deals a year, realizing, no, this is a massive market, and which we're going to get into later, seeing that private equity and institutional money wants to get into. So that's something that definitely speaks to me, knowing that it's something I'm passionate about, but there's also a massive market there.
Well, did Scott say that he wants your help while you're back at school?
There are a lot of deals. I'm sure he could use some extra set of eyes.
I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, so if you could kind of step back for a second, and it's the end of your internship, you're going to go back to Ann Arbor, and actually, you're going to go back to Ann Arbor before we get to what else here. But think about, you got a heck of a football team there. You had a really good football team. You had a great quarterback. I mean, now what's going on with Michigan football this year?
Yeah, it's exciting. I think I'm trying to temper my expectations, and I think everyone in Ann Arbor is. I mean, national championship last year. It can't get much better than that. But there are some big changes coming this year. We lost our star quarterback. We lost our superstar head coach also, Blake Corum. A lot of things are changing, and not only from, a record standpoint. I think the image of Michigan is changing. J.J. McCarthy was the face of Michigan. And now, we're going to see Orgy step in, and we'll see if he can really fulfill that role.
But now you're going to go to one of these games, 100,000 people in the stadium there. And you start thinking about wow, wonder if you're going to start to think about the business side of things, right? We talked about a little bit earlier, right? What are all those people doing, before, during, and after the game? And a lot of the stuff that we talk about here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a bunch of companies that we've seen, like ticketing, every aspect of the game, you're thinking, how can we improve this, and what can change the landscape of sports?
Totally. I mean, so when you say is there sort of a takeaway, or your sort of most valuable thing that's sort of the takeaway for your summer that you had here?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, there's a ton of lessons I learned here from the team about, working hard, and you always say this, but investing in smart, nice people. And that's really a way to conduct business. And I've seen that just watching the whole team. That's really what, we preach here at 76 Capital, and it's really great to see. But
I mean, is there something that was, look, I think, all the Wawa lunches we had, right, over the summer, that was a big deal. It's a big deal around here. We like our Wawa.
Yeah.
But are there things that was there something that you did, or was there a project that you worked on this summer that would really kind of open your eyes to some of the things that are going on in sports?
Yeah. I got to work on all parts of the business, which was really great. I got to work, for example, on all those deal flows and sit on calls and hear all these pitches and really see how sports are changing. But at the same time, I got to work on finance projects with Chad and work on an evaluation model for portfolio companies. But really, my biggest takeaway is that, we're always looking at the next industries that can be digitized and changed. And I think sports is one that's really coming next. And, 76 Capital has been fortunate enough to get on the wave early.
So what would you say to the next intern that comes to 76 Capital? What do you tell them about this experience?
I would say get on board. It's going to be an amazing experience. You're going to see a ton of deals. You're going to learn a lot. And, this is an amazing culture, an amazing industry, and just, be ready to learn and contribute in any way you can.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Appreciate that. And it's so great having you on our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. It's something that I think we should make this now something that we do, every time we have interns come in, have them share their experiences. One of the things that we, recently were talking about was just all the news that comes into the world of sports. And you see that now on a daily basis, just how much news and how many things are now happening. You've heard us talk about, and we're here when CNBC announced they're going to have a session, a certain area for just sports. And the interview I recently did on Bloomberg, and how Bloomberg's really leaning in on sports, and just to see all this. And then just came out the Sportico valuations of NFL teams. What do you think about that?
It's crazy. You're always sending, whether it's through Slack or dropping something off on my desk, some new article about whether it's an investment bank opening up a sports practice or consulting agencies leaning towards sports and all these sorts of things. So, that's awesome to see. And answering your question about the evaluations, it's crazy. You've showed me so many articles about, the valuations of sports teams outpacing the S&P 500 by a landslide. And looking at these most recent evaluations with our Dallas Cowboys, our hated Dallas Cowboys, being valued at a $10 billion evaluation. It's insane to see, but I think people are starting to realize that this is a serious industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting because you think about like what's happening on a global scale as well, right? We got to experience, every day on I point over here to the TV.
Yep.
We've been, for the last couple of weeks, we've been watching the Olympics, every day, during the day, and seeing how even just the excitement around sports has just been really amazing to see. And I'd love to hear from your perspective. I mean, does it, being a younger student right now, right? You're a student, you're a junior at Michigan. How do you feel about like streaming versus regular TV? Does it even matter to you if you have to go from Peacock to Netflix to, NBC or any of that kind of stuff? Is it just all one thing, or is it?
I think it's all kind of one thing. We've been so used to just switching streaming platforms. It's not like my grandfather who, is on the same channel all day. We're used to going to Twitch for this video game or switching to YouTube to watch this new golf channel, and then, watching Peacock for the Thursday night football game. So I think we're just used to that constant shifting of platforms.
Well, look, I will certainly, this has been awesome talking with you about all this stuff. I mean, and I would say one thing we really didn't touch on, but I want to touch on this before we wrap up this episode. I mean, look, you mentioned earlier you're a big Eagles fan. You look at the fact that I think they're in the top 10 of valuations of Sportico.
I think they were number 7 or something like that.
So they're valued at a lot right now. How are the Eagles going to do this year?
I think the Eagles are going to be great. I mean, like I said, I'm always trying to temper my expectations, but the training camp hype is getting a little out of control. Jalen Hurts setting the record for most completions without an interception. I mean, I know it's training camp.
What kind of
no official statistics, but I think it's going to be a good season, and I'm looking forward to hopefully going to a game with you or something.
Absolutely. And we'll wrap it up on this. I mean, I think, Max, this will be interesting. Talk a little bit about how you follow the latest sports, and how do you keep in touch with all of your friends? What are some of the ways that you do that within the sports world?
Yeah, I mean, for football, the main thing that keeps us together is our fantasy football league. Every year, there's 12 of us, and it's a crazy league. We have a big draft, and throughout the year, everyone's texting each other, arguing, trying to negotiate trades. So it really is a way that keeps us all together. And, we're constantly following, different sports media outlets and that sort of thing. And that it really keeps us together talking about sports. And it's such a big part of our lives.
Well, there are a couple guys you want to shout out or anything?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Hunter. He's the commissioner of our fantasy football league.
Oh, that's news to me.
Still hasn't won, unfortunately. But I think his time is coming.
That would be really great. Well, look, I hope everyone enjoyed this special edition of our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. Had the amazing opportunity of having Max Hirsch here as our summer intern of 2024. Wish you a lot of luck at the University of Michigan and, of course, beyond. And as I've shared with you, once being here at 76 Capital and being part of our team here, you're always part of our 76 Capital family. We say that to all of our interns, anyone who's ever worked with me over the years. That you can reach out to me. I want to figure out ways that we can always help each other and do some amazing things together. So again, Max, thank you so much for everything you've done
so much, Wayne.
for us here at 76 Capital. We've loved it. The team's loved it. I mean, from Chad to John to Jack to Andre to Scott to Carlos and Riley and the rest of the group here. We appreciate everything you've done, and good luck this season. And look, I got to say, I'm not so sure I want the Wolverines to be that top 10 team. I kind of would like my Maryland Terrapins to be in there, but I understand they're a pretty good team. We'll see how that all plays out, and have a great year at school.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.